2017 Victorian Open Championships are proudly brought to you by Swimming Victoria. Search Swim Vic or find them on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Instagram.
Welcome to MSAC, night 2 of the Victorian State Swimming Championships. It's a beautiful night in Melbourne. Things have slightly changed from what we brought you last night. Michael leads with Lindley Frame on night 2, as we mentioned. We've seen some of the hot action in night 1. We've been at it again this morning in the heats, and Lindley, so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome.
I think we've got a real mix of events tonight. We've certainly got some of the longer distance swims, the women's 400 free, the men's 800 free, but then we've got some great sort of short distances with the women's 50 free, men's 50 fly. So I think there'll be some good swimming, but I think it's really interesting to note that a lot of these kids are in hard work, so they're not, some of them won't get close to their PBs, but there certainly plays a place in their setup for the national championships later on this year.
And you're doing you're doing all sorts of work behind the scenes with coaches, athletes and parents.
Yes.
It must be a testing time at an event like this. It's easier for some who have been there and done it, but coming into tonight there'll be some nerves around. How do you think the athletes and how do you think the parents are going to be feeling at the moment sitting in the stands?
Swimming in lanes.
Well, I think the great thing is that you always, as an athlete, want to be nervous. I think if you're not nervous, it means you're not ready to race. It's about managing expectation when you're not tapered, when you're in hard work. So this is what it's about, managing expectations for the athletes and understanding this is just part of the swimming journey for the year. But I think certainly the parents get a chance to sit back and enjoy watching their kids race. And I think that's a really nice thing to be able to do.
One of the things Kendrick touched on, and we'll take in some of the introductions in just a moment as we get to lane 4, but one of the things he spoke about was there's a lot that can be done technically without the time necessarily being perfect, that you can tick a lot of boxes on a night like tonight.
For tonight, it will really be athletes sticking to their race plans. So whether they're in hard work or not, they need to stick to their race plan, and that's based on the training that they've done coming into the meet.
You can just hear
Luke, Bibby.
the announcements for the 200 individual medley in the men's, and we're not far away from getting the first race underway. Night 2 from MSAC, of course, Mountain Shade and Physio Health bring you the broadcast this evening, live streaming on Facebook and also on Channel 31. We hope you enjoy all the action. And Lindley, it's just about over to you as the first event is underway.
Night start as they go down the pool for the first 50 of the 200 metres individual medley. The great thing about a 200 IM is all the athletes have particular strengths. Casimir Boskovic in lane 4 is a newcomer to Victoria. He's come from New South Wales. He's one that I haven't seen a lot of, but swimming right beside him is David Schlicht, who went to the World Junior Championships. Both Scott Talbot swims, coaches Casimir, definitely a tough coach to swim for. In a 200 IM, you will actually see the lead often change depending on the athlete's strength. So whether it's backstroke, we've got a few breaststrokers in this group that will sit back in the backstroke leg, but Casimir looks really strong coming through the first 100.
Yeah, he's touched him first, and that's one of the things we mentioned last night was the athletes needing to be calm and not panic when they're getting behind or not getting too far ahead of themselves with a lead because of exactly what you've just mentioned.
Well, each of these athletes knows what their strength is and they will be working towards that. There's no point using up too much energy in a stroke that's not their favourite because they need to rely on that coming home. You can actually see the rest of the field starting to move up a little bit with people being stronger in breaststroke. Casimir's going around looking really good. He split 135.52 this morning, 133 just slightly behind that. But you can see a really strong swim coming back. He's breathing every second stroke, so he's definitely expended quite a bit of energy. Expect him not to breathe that last 5 metres going into the wall.
He looks like he's just going to hold on here against Sherrington, although he finished very well. Sherrington, good finish. And Casimir has done the job, so impressive start.
I think that was a good start for those first 2 swimmers. It was a considerable drop from their heat time this morning. You do expect that, but really good to see that David Schlicht came in 3rd place there. He swam at the at the Pan Pacific Junior Championships last year. He's a definite talent, part of our talent ID program. So great swims from those guys in the 200 AM.
So heat 2 of the same event about to get underway. Hamish McDougall to start in lane 4, Thomas Halliday in 3, and Heath McLeod in lane 5. Thomas Houston, the 16-year-old, along with Ahmed Afshinazar, a couple of 16-year-olds. Of course, plenty of young talent on offer over the whole weekend. It's sort of exciting seeing these guys coming through in the second race and their opportunity to show their wares and be in a race contesting rather than just doing laps for the sake of it.
I think the important thing as an athlete is to get as many good races as possible under your belt. You train to race, not, train to train. So I think it's important for them to have as many hit outs as possible and to get a second swim in a day. It's quite different swimming a heat swim as opposed to a final swim. Hamish McDougall is going down the pool looking very comfortable. Hamish is coached by Matt Brown at Surrey Park. Swims quite a few distance swim meets, so he's got a good endurance base behind him. Tom Halliday looking very comfortable in the backstroke. He's got a really good body line. Head's looking really nice and still. He is swimming on the lane rope. They tend to sight at the top of the pool, but it's easy once you're on the lane rope to kind of stay there. So Tom Halliday going around at the 100-metre mark in 1st place. And this is where the breaststrokers have the advantage. You saw Heath McLeod come off that wall. Heath is swimming in lane 5. He is a great breaststroke swimmer, and you saw as he came off underwater, the advantage of that being primarily his better stroke. As you watch them going around from breaststroke to freestyle, you'll actually notice that they can double the lead because they're going from the slower stroke into the faster stroke. So nice turn from Heath McLeod there. But remembering that Hamish McDougall does swim distance freestyle, so
he's certainly got that advantage you talked about on the turn. He's still a body length at the moment, but as you mentioned, you have to close well as the move starts to come in the middle of the pool.
You see that Hamish is looking towards Heath.
And McLeod does just get it done in the B final of the men's 200 medley.
It's a good solid swim from Heath McLeod. As I said, you can definitely see the strength as he came through for that second half of the race. His entry time this morning was 2:06.75, 2:09.79.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make
considering
welcome to
these
pool deck
guys
the competitors for
are in
event
quite a bit of hard
24,
work at the
the
moment.
men's 400-metre freestyle for multi-class.
So just heard the next event we'll be taking in is the men's 400 freestyle in the multi-class. Three 14-year-olds will be in amongst the action here. Nick Layton, Dylan Logan and Zach Jones all to contest. What a great experience.
got some real experience in the pool
The
here.
swimmer
and
in
some
lane 0,
swimmers also
representing
coming
Hamilton
through.
Olympic,
Zach Jones,
is
who'll be
Aaron
swimming out of
Skinner.
lane 9, is part of the Swimming
In lane
Victoria
1,
multi-class
representing Mary
squad.
Benong, Ben Morrison.
And Nick Layton.
In lane 2,
as well.
representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Nick Layton. In lane 3, representing USC Spartans, Jacob Templeton. In lane 4, representing Yeronga Park, Rowan Crothers. In lane 5, representing USC Spartans, Guy Harrison Murray. In lane 6, representing Tuggeranong Vikings, Josh Alford. In lane 7, representing USC Spartans, Logan Powell. In lane 8, from Geelong, Dylan Logan. And in lane 9, from Furbank, Zachary Jones.
So away in the 400 freestyle. Here the men's multi-class. So much technicality around these races. I think we spoke about last night the need for everything to be adjusted post-race. It must be a testing time for an athlete not to know until all the figures come back and you know where you've finished.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that these athletes really focus on what the world record is and how far away they are from the world record, because that's what they're judged on. So we have multiple classes competing in the one race, and whether you come first or whether you come last, that's not an indication of the result that you would have. So what they're trying to do is get the maximum amount of points to get the result. So they're the swimmers that are on the dais. Well, we've got some, you can see the experienced athletes in the pool are taking it out. Rowan Crothers swam at the Rio Paralympics. They're going around that first 100 in 1:00.14. So, you know, nice speed. They'll settle in and try and maintain that pace over the 400 freestyle. The danger is always around that 300 metre mark, where that bit of fatigue sets in, and if they're not focused on what they're doing, they will actually drop off their pace. So while, you know, the first two athletes will swim off each other, and you see them going around their turn right now, they're probably used to swimming against each other, and they've got a little bit of pace going there. So certainly helps to have someone right beside you when you're racing.
So there's a slight break early here
So
as Harrison Murray touches in first.
He's looking pretty good, isn't he? You just saw from about the 15 metre mark, he just put half a body length on Rowan Crothers. So now this is where they start really digging in this third 100, just to maintain that pace. So for all swimmers, it's about being as efficient as possible in the water, and as they get more fatigued, their efficiency will drop down. So in training, they'll do specific training sets under pressure to produce lactic acid, so that they can maintain that efficiency when they get into a race.
Yeah, rehearsing that difficult part of the race. That must be the fun part of training. What are you doing at the moment? I'm making myself really tired so that it's going to be really difficult to maintain my stroke.
And they do really have to push themselves to be able to handle that lactic acid that they're producing. Guy Harrison Murray going around in a 3:08.46. Rowan Crothers second, and Josh Alford third. So you can really see that Josh Alford's already sort of started to pick up that pace as well.
And there'll be some widely varying times because of what you spoke about with all the different classes involved. But again, the need to stick to your own timing, absolutely crucial, rather than wondering what's going on around in the pool.
That's right, because we've got Dylan Logan in lane 8 from Geelong Swimming Club, who's just turned at the 300 metre mark. But what he's doing is chasing a particular time for his classification. But a strong swim from Guy Harrison Murray. 4:14.76, just off his entry time, which is 4:11.18.
And as we mentioned, the position's not completely relevant for all the athletes here. It's all about time. So the athletes still in the pool will be swimming to achieve the very best that they can. And will they be checking a clock at any stage, or will it all be about rehearsed stroke rate and breathing to know that they're sort of there and abouts?
It's a rarity that an athlete will look at a clock or a board. It depends where the board's situated in the pool. If it's at the end of the pool, it's mainly backstrokers actually that you'll see having a cheeky glance. But these guys have worked for a long time on their pace. And looking at the results up there, there are a couple that have gone underneath or below their entry times. So fingers crossed that's a PB swim for them. So we've got Aaron Skinner over in lane 0, coming about 25 metres to go. And Zach Jones from Furbank Aquastars over here in lane 9. It's about 35 metres to swim. But as we said, you know, we'll have to wait for the results at the end to see first, second and third. Some heavy breathing going on at the end of the pool.
With good reason. So not long to go here for Zach Jones to finish off. That 400 metres is a long way, and he's just got to the end now. In 6:03.26.
Under his
Ladies and gentlemen,
entry
the victory
time, so
ceremony
fingers
for
crossed
event
that was
23,
a PB
the
for
men's
him.
200 metre individual medley. On this occasion, medals are being presented by Paris Burlock of Bayside, Victorian State 12-year-old group champion. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 2:05.39, representing MLC Aquatic, David Schlicht. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 2:03.64, representing Carlisle, Callum Sherrington. Winner of the gold medal in the time of 2:03.38, representing Nunawading, Casimir Boskovich. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the state champions in the men's 200 metre individual medley. Please make welcome to pool deck now the competitors for event 25, the women's 400 metre freestyle for multi-class.
So the women's turn now in the 400 multi-class. A bit more burning and a bit more pain for all of the athletes in about 200 metres time. Again, a big thanks to Physio Health and to Mountain Shade who are helping us out, bringing you all the action. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can take in the best that Victoria has to offer. And only a fair few entrants from across the country and indeed across the world. The Malaysia sent a few athletes across, and there's a great conglomeration of talent from not just Victoria.
I think the interesting thing at the Victorian Championships is that there's not a restriction on the amount of visitors. Some states do have a restriction on the amount that can make finals. We don't have that in Victoria at the moment, so it tends to bring quite a variety of athletes to come and get a good hit out at the start of the year.
Representing Naya, 2 Bay Swan Hill, Claire Barr. And in lane 8, representing Cheltenham, Amber Stelling.
So we've got 5 athletes in this race. who are part of the Swimming Victorian multi-class squad. And in lane 4, we've got Monique Murphy, who's the Paralympic silver medalist in this event. Monique swam at Melbourne Vic Centre in Victoria up until after the Paralympics with Alex Hirschow, and she's now moved up to Queensland to swim at Southport Olympic with Glenn Baker. So there's quite a bit of movement from athletes Olympic and Paralympic post-Olympics. Some of them sort of a new opportunity, a new 4-year cycle, a different coach.
It must be frequently entertaining, the idea of going up and swimming in the sun at 5 o'clock in the morning rather than the freezing Melbourne winter. It must be attractive for athletes.
Well, I think so, but I think, it doesn't matter where the pool is. If your friends are in the pool, you'll get up early enough, and if you love what you're doing, you'll get up early enough to come and compete. Just watching Monique Murphy go around in first place, and Monique Beckwith close behind her in second in that first 100. So different classification. Monique Murphy is missing a lower limb. Monique Beckwith is hearing impaired.
So you just touched on, Lily, that need to be enjoying your time and your teammates and the company that you're keeping. Do you think there's been a shift in the last 5 to 10 years in that awareness? Do you think it's always been there? Do you think we're starting to do it better? We're always aware of it? What's your take on looking after the athletes and making sure they're enjoying what they're doing?
Well, I think the interesting thing now is when we look at data is that we need to keep kids enjoying the sport for as long as possible. Swimming's one of those great things that you can do from when you're taught to swim right until, to the day that you finish and either finish competing or just choose to stop swimming. It's a skill that you will always have. Just watching Monique Murphy go around, she's looking really strong. She's got a beautiful controlled stroke. But I think we're noticing that there's a trend that our athletes on our Australian team are actually getting older. So for girls, it's around 22. Boys, the average age is about 24. So, the opportunity to continue swimming at a high level is there for a lot longer these days.
Yep.
And I think that comes about with the experiences that you have in the sport. I think travelling, competing, being part of teams all contributes to that. But, one of the big things is the environment that you grow up in within your club system.
Yeah, okay, so that imprint can stay with you throughout your career, long beyond the time you've finished at your own club. And Stelling turns here in lane 8. And Murphy in the middle, lane 4 there. 3:30.38. So she's...
You can see Monique Murphy's breathing every second stroke. Well out in front, but you can see that she's really trying to get that oxygen in. One goggle in the water, one out. So she's trying not to turn her head too far. Monique Beckwith in lane 5 is in second place in this 400 freestyle. Nice body position. Very smooth, got a nice kick going behind her.
How's she feeling about now?
So the athletes will have particular times that they will be targeting, but it will be in reason with the sort of training load that they've been doing.
And Murphy does finish a long way in front, but as we said, it's all about the time, and Beckwith with a strong finish as well for 48.57.
Monique Murphy had a smile on her face, so looks like she's okay with that, you know, quite a bit off her best time. But having spoken to the coaches on pool deck, it's about managing that expectation.
Yep. Must be difficult for the competitors, because they are competitors first and foremost, to be pulled back come a race meeting.
Yeah, Ruby Storm just coming in there. She's entered in at a 5:20.14. 5:06.81 is a time that she's recorded here, so that's a beautiful swim for her. Megan Botha from CA Tritons just coming in to finish. So you can see there's quite a bit of spread across this event with the different classifications.
So Ruby's just 13. It's a big effort, isn't it?
And interestingly enough, for any athlete, your event kind of chooses you depending on your body type, your body shape, whether you've got fast twitch fibre or slow twitch fibre, and which event's more appropriate. So sometimes you don't love the event it chooses for you, but you know that you go with your strength. Just watching Phoebe Mitchell from Geelong Swimming Club, last few strokes into the wall, kept her head down. And Amber Stelling with 15 metres to go. Just about to come into vision underneath those flags.
Well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for event 24, the men's 400 metres freestyle for multi-class. On this occasion, medals are being presented by Paris Burlock. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 4:32.83, representing USC Spartans, Logan Powell. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 4:22.38, representing Yeronga Park, Rowan Crothers. And the gold medal winner in the time of 4:14.76, also representing USC Spartans, was Guy Harrison Murray.
And as we talked about with that event, the medals were slightly different to the times recorded on the board, but a great result for those boys.
800 metres freestyle.
Rightio. Settle in. I'm going to hear the athletes announced in just a moment, but a bit of a tale from this morning, Lily. When we came in to see the program for this evening, we wondered what a little X-Men in front of a couple of times, and really not something we see every day. Tell us what's going on in the heats this morning.
So we've got an X in our program beside David McKeon, who is swimming out of lane 0, and Tommy Smith, who's swimming out of lane 9. With events that go to a straight final, they don't have to swim the heats. The athletes still need to go and mark their name off in the marshalling area during the heats. Those two boys did not, but they're still allowed to swim in the final. Their times will be recorded in the national database, but they can't medal. So they still get the opportunity to race. We probably wouldn't have expected David McKeon to be racing out of lane 0. We would have seen him swimming out of lane 5. But interesting to see what he does out swimming his own race, because it's hard to see across the pool once you get into a bit of a rhythm, once the goggles fog up a bit.
So eyes on lane 0 and of course lane 4 as well. We'll talk about Mack's training load as the race gets underway. 800 metres, the men are away, and indeed straight away, didn't take long. Just a little head ahead. And looking straight away at lane 0 where you spoke about David racing his own race, he looks like he's got a nice start.
So the interesting thing across the course of the race will be to watch David McKean. David is a 400 freestyler. Mack Horton 8 and 1500 metre freestyler. So you would expect that David has a little bit more pace early on. Certainly saying that, Mack Horton is the Olympic gold medalist in the 400 freestyle, and but he would pace this race a little differently. Mack's focus going forward is the 1500 freestyle. So he will use every opportunity that he can when he's racing to practice those little things. He made some extraordinary improvements in reducing turn times leading up to the Rio Olympic Games. So while the athletes practice things, swim over and over again in training, they're practicing very specific details of their training, and he was able to reduce his turn time dramatically, which meant that he improved over seconds in a 1500 metre race. He's now working on stroke efficiency. So that's being able to hold stroke length and stroke rate in a race, which, as I mentioned earlier, once you get fatigued is much harder to do. But clearly watching these athletes out in front, you can see the skill and the level of talent that these boys have over the junior athletes in the pool.
Just effortless, aren't they? And they turn 1 and 2. So given the extra length of this race, does the fatigue kick in at a similar sort of time, or is it, given the extra length, they'll take a little while longer to actually get sore because they're going a little slower?
Well, these boys train to be able to swim, and what looks slow, and you mentioned the word, it sort of looks easy to us watching them. Their efficiency is such that it makes it look easy, even though they're splitting 100 metre times at quite a quick pace. So they do train to do this, and to reduce that fatigue when they're racing and to buffer the lactic acid that appears over the course of a race. But, as we're well aware, it does hurt towards the end of the race.
So David still has turned ahead, although Max just tidied up that lead slightly in a couple of strokes. So as we expected, I guess, they're a long way ahead of the field, being the experienced campaigners.
And every time these athletes race, it's an opportunity to try something different. No athlete will go into a race not having a focus, so there will be a particular focus for every single one of these. The younger athletes, it's just an opportunity to understand how their body works in a race over this period of time. But you can actually see that the distance that these boys get off each stroke, their coaches will be sitting there, or there'll be a sports scientist or an assistant coach actually counting strokes for each 50 to see, where their strokes start to shorten. Got a beautiful body position.
Yeah, it is
Max
remarkable.
Got a slightly smaller kick than David McKean over in lane 0.
And he has taken over, hasn't he, Mack, as he turns ahead.
You can see the officials at the end of the pool just flipping over the numbers. So if for some reason the athletes do lose count, and it does happen, as they come down the pool, they will occasionally lift their head to cite the number. So we're talking about what athletes might look for. If they do have a little bit of a brain fade, they'll look up and be able to see. So as Mack turns would look down the pool if he needed to and say, I've got 5 laps to go in this race.
Victory ceremony for event 25.
But you can see Mack started to stretch that lead over David McKeon.
By Paris Burlock, and the winner of the
Just taking the medal ceremony for you.
6.81, representing Traralgon, Ruby Storm. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 4:48.57, representing MLC Aquatic, Monique Beckwith. And winner of the gold medal
Really
in
good
the
to watch
time
the
of
distance that
4:40.99,
these athletes have got coming off the wall.
Olympic, Monique Murphy.
So the fastest that you will go during a race is off a start and off a turn, because you're pushing against something solid. The rest of the time you're swimming against resistance. So that's why it was really crucial for Mack to work on those turns to get that speed off the wall.
And what possesses the swimmers to be better off a turn? It's obviously so important, because you can do all that work during the middle of the pool but then be swallowed up at the turn. And what is it purely technique? Are you built for the power to drive off the wall, or is it a combination of both? Where does it come from?
It's all a learned skill, and you get to the point as an athlete that to swim a PB, it comes down to the finer details. That certainly you can put quite a bit of work in the pool and you will get good results, but you'll get better results if your skills are better, so that if your streamline is better, if your dolphin kicks off the wall, all of those things, your body position. If you look at Mack going around with 100 metres to go, his feet came over nice and fast, no breath as he came off, but he's got a beautiful flat body position, so you're trying to minimise resistance wherever possible.
So he is a long way ahead here, Mack, and next in line is David McKeon, and he is a long way in front of third as well. Must be a sweet sound.
Having never swum a distance swim, I would imagine that it is. Very much a sprinter, didn't swim anything over 200 metres, only won 400 IM in my whole career, so it's certainly something that they listen for. See, Mack's just about to lap the swimmers in lane 8 and 9.
So, Yaoji gets third. And what have you made of that time? You spoke about the workload that the guys are under, and in particular, Mack, I understand, has been in a really heavy workload. Can you tell us a bit more about what he's been doing and what sort of time that represents on the back of all that work that he's been putting in?
He just spent 10 days in a training camp in South Australia, where they did put in quite a bit of work, and talking to his coach Craig Jackson before the race, I said, what splits are you expecting? And the comment was, your guess is as good as mine. Which is understandable at this time of the year. So I think they will have been happy to have a pretty solid hit out. Watching the final two swimmers, Jake Patterson from MLC and Tommy Smith, coming into the wall.
There's obviously a great deal of volunteer work that goes into the timekeeping to make sure that everything is ticked off. Have you ever touched in and the touchpad's failed?
Yeah, so occasionally the time won't come up on the scoreboard, but there's a backup in the AOE room. So there's a backup time recorded, but we also have timekeepers at the end. So there's 3 opportunities for a time to be taken. And I don't know any swims in recent time where there's been a complete failure, so it may not come up on the scoreboard, but there will be a result for the athletes.
Swimming in lane 0, representing Yeronga Park, Laura Brosnan.
So we've certainly had some longer swims during this final session tonight.
In lane 2, representing Nunawading, Sophie
This is the
Falco.
400 in the women.
In lane 3, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Elise
Talking to
Woods.
Carlia Marsh, who's swimming out of lane
In
1.
lane
She's
4, representing
now got
USC
4 national
Spartans,
times, which she's really excited about, and she's getting ready to go to the open water nationals in South Australia, which are next week. So some of these athletes do pool swimming as well as open water swimming, and this will be part of her preparation as well.
In lane 7, representing aquatic performance, Rachel Marjorie Zeng. In lane 8, representing New Caledonia, Maureen Linker. And in lane 9, representing Carlisle, Jemima Stratton.
So the 400 women's, Sheridan in 4, Whittaker in 5.
Nice start by Elise Woods in lane 3. She had a good swim this morning, just fractionally under her personal best. Swimming beside Mickey Sheridan, who turned 22 yesterday. She had a birthday yesterday, competing at the Victorian Championships. Just watching the girls come down. Leah Neal turning in first place. Leah was part of the 4x200 freestyle relay at the Olympic Games. She's an Olympic silver medalist. So we'll have a little bit of early speed going out at the start of this race. Just coming up to that first 100.
She maintains that position.
So Sian Whittaker going round in second place. Sian actually did a 3-second personal best this morning. Primarily a backstroker, but has been doing a lot of hard work, distance work. She was also at the training camp with Mack, Horton, and also Elise Woods that's swimming in this race. So put in a bit of work. So as I said earlier, sometimes your best race when you're in hard work isn't that when you're competing. So
Can you talk us about the requirement and the need for that freshness as a swimmer, rather than doing the same things day in, day out, and it all becoming a little bit monotonous, just to freshen your mind up?
well, I think it's really important for these athletes when they're not swimming at a selection trials or an Australian Championships, the coaches get them to swim events that aren't always their favourite event, and that gives them an opportunity to have a slightly different focus. So across the pool for second, third and fourth, pretty solid swims from the girls tonight, making sure they maintain this pace in that third 100.
So Neil's still doing the job, but it feels like the girls are hanging in. Yeah, it's definitely levelled up, hasn't it?
Sian's breathing, just so she can have a look at Leah Neal as she goes down the pool. Some of these girls will have a preferred breathing side. When they're training, they tend to bilateral breathe, so they breathe both sides. But you can just see Leah Neal had that early speed, and we're watching Sian Whittaker and Mickey Sheridan come through.
And it might just be Sheridan who's come over the top of them. That is a very strong job, and now can she hang on? That was a strong 50, Lemmy.
Really was, and you saw the power coming off that. So that's part of the race plan that she will have discussed with her coach, and knowing your strengths as an athlete, about when you're actually going to make that move.
And all of a sudden, it's almost a body length that Sheridan's put on Whittaker and Neal. The first three clear of the field, but Sheridan, we're going to get a time here, 3:42.70. Whittaker in second and Neil now in third spot, having held the lead last time at that end of the pool.
So you can also see that Mickey Sheridan's picked up her stroke rate while maintaining the length of her stroke. So while she's getting tired, she's still able to maintain that. She's got a beautiful body position.
It's been a really strong last 150. Look at this finish. Wonderful stuff for Sheridan from Whittaker, and Neil will finish in third.
Nice time for Mickey Sheridan winning that. Another PB for Sian Whittaker. She's dropped 2 seconds from what she swam this morning. So that's a nice improvement over the course of a day.
The medal presentation.
Leah Neal coming into third place.
800 metres freestyle. Medals are being presented by Paris
Take you to the presentation for the 800
the bronze
men's.
medal in the time of 8:42.50, representing Nunawading, Samuel Greatorex. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 8:35.61, representing aquatic performance, Yarjai O. Winner of the gold medal and the Pearson Challenge Shield for this event in the time of 8:01.75, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Mack Horton.
So as we talked about earlier when we were introducing the athletes coming into this race, David McKean was second on the scoreboard, but because he didn't tick his name off for marshalling this morning, he wasn't eligible to receive a medal, which meant that their third and fourth athletes were up on the dais, but his time is still counted.
It's not just getting in the pool.
No.
All that work to be done. And I suppose especially if you're young, coming into a big event like this, there must be plenty going on. You've got your warm-ups to worry about, you've got your nutrition to worry about, you've got the nerves jangling away underneath all that, the advice from your coach, speaking to your parents. There must be a bit going into that pre-race routine that you need to make sure you're ticking off.
Every meet's definitely a learning experience. And timing your warm-up so that you've got a good 45 minutes to be able to get into race suits. These race suits are incredibly hard to get into. They're tiny. Fortunately, they do have a little bit of give in them, but they can take time to get into, and then you need time to get to the marshalling area. Some athletes speak to their coach before they race. But some coaches are quite comfortable just to let their athletes go to the marshalling area without talking to them. Going from one extreme to the other tonight, we've had an 800 free, 400, multiple 400 frees, and we're about to see the athletes swim the 50 fly.
Beaver. And in lane 9 from Nunawading, Matthew Temple.
So Dan Hunter from New Zealand in lane 4. Part of the international flavour here over the weekend. And Josh Beaver having a crack at the butterfly too. Who do you like here, Monique?
Well, I think Brennan Swift swimming out of lane 5 is a very strong athlete. I haven't seen Daniel Hunter swim before. These 50s depend on the start. You'll notice that quite a few of the athletes won't breathe until the halfway mark, and then they'll set up a pattern of breathing whenever they feel necessary, but every time they lift their head, it will slow their stroke rate down.
So plenty on offer here. First to touches marks. Almost in unison they were. You could hear them thumping into the end of the pool.
That's the sort of race you actually need to see a replay on to be able to see that end result. Good swim by Edward Marks from Carlisle.
And the B final will be up straight away, so things moving very quickly here. There's no time to settle down.
So Graham Irvine swimming out of lane 4 is an Olympian. Swims a 200 butterfly, but certainly has a bit of speed for this 50 as well.
So Irvine in lane 4 in the yellow cap as they are into the water.
Grant Irvine staying under the water a little bit longer than the other athletes. See that they get into a rhythm of breathing every 3 or 4 as they get further down the pool.
It looked like it just had it there, Irvine, as they close. Again, we're going to have a blanket finish. And as you heard, let me frame all over this B finals. Grant Irvine comes in first from
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for event 27, the women's
Jian.
400 metres freestyle.
Just such small margins, aren't there, in the 50s? One tiny little error, and Kendrick spoke about this last night, that there's no room for the tiniest little error in such a short race.
And that comes to getting a clean start and just that transition of speed off the start into the water coming up for your first few strokes. There's a real focus on getting all of the little things right. Sometimes that's out of your control in the 50. And you can hear that after the race with the athletes talking to each other, whether they missed the start, didn't come up when they expected to, or just missed their finish.
So the women's 400 just been presented there. Congratulations to Michaela Sheridan. So the women's 100 butterfly next up.
Some real talent walking out onto the pool deck, and some athletes that are really coming through the junior ranks of Australian swimming.
In lane 1, representing Surrey Park, Eva Rosenquist. In lane 2, representing Nunawading, Samantha Wilkins. In lane 3, representing Sopak, Christina Ligiardi. In lane 4, representing Carlisle, Emily Washer. In lane 5, representing St Peter's Western, Emma McKeon. In lane 6, representing USC Spartans, Gemma Schlicht. In lane 7, representing Nunawading, Kayla Costa. In lane 8, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Amy Green. And in lane 9, representing Surrey Park, Laura Davey.
Well, the girls are out in the first 50 in 28.1 this morning. I'd expect them to be out a little bit quicker tonight. That was Emily Washer this morning in the heats.
So McKeon in 5 next to Washer. And we are underway.
Washer and McKeon up really nicely. Emma McKeon's PB is a lot quicker than the time that she swam this morning. But you can see she's already got that half a body length as she goes down the pool. She's a beautiful butterfly swimmer. Executing a really nice turn there as she comes off the wall. So McKeon around in 27.18, considerably quicker than this morning.
And she's still in front.
And also Chrissy Licciardi over in lane 3, just coming through, pushing up against Emily Washer.
So the race is for second. In truth, McKeon's got first zone up by the look. It'll be Licciardi and Washer, and all about the finish here. Washer just held on.
Look at those results, quite a bit quicker than this morning. The girls recording 100s this morning, so well under that tonight. B final of the 100 butterflies beside the blocks.
3 14-year-olds in amongst the B final.
often find the girls still swimming, the younger girls still swim quite quickly, sort of 13, 14 years of age, and then they have a period of time where they struggle to reach those PBs, but as they get stronger, when they're 17, 18, they get down to those PBs again. Brittany Barnes up nicely. Emma McDonald right beside her. The girls will be aware of each other as they go down the pool. They can just catch a glimpse out of the corner of their eye. Mary Toven in lane 7 also looking good, so we'll get a shot just as they come into the wall. Mary Toven looking like she's going around fractionally behind Brittany Barnes.
If she
This one looks a little bit closer.
Yeah, if she
with
can
the girls
hang
across
on
the pool.
to be competitive, she's got 4 lanes to work from, so she's going to have her work cut out knowing where she is in the middle.
If you're beside someone, you can see out of the corner of your eye, but if there's a lane away, you're not aware of where anyone is.
So Barnes looks to have the finish complete. The second will be close. Hammond in lane 2 on the far side from Gower in lane 1. So
103.27, quicker than she swam this morning. She kept her head down on the finish, which no breath for that last couple of strokes.
Medals are being presented by Paris Burlock.
I'll just take in some of this medal ceremony for you.
Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 24.87, representing Southport, Jordy Brunt. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 24.83, representing New Zealand, Daniel Hunter. And winner of the gold medal in the time of 24.82, representing Carlisle, Edward Marks. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions in the men's 50 metres butterfly.
5/100ths of a second between all of those boys on the dais.
The men's 50 metres butterfly for multi-class.
Just incredibly tight margins, aren't they? Quick shout out to the team from Funky Trunks and Funkita. They'd love to see you at their pop-up shop on the mezzanine level, open from 7:30 a.m. during the heats throughout the competition, where you can search the net for Funkita or Funky Trunks. Some wonderful sponsors of Swimming Victoria involved in not only tonight but the broadcast as well, and a big thanks to Physio Health and Mountain Shade. We've got the
Lane 2 representing
50
Melbourne Torpedoes, Patrick Getson.
butterfly for the men's in the multi-class.
Lane 3 representing
So we've got
USC
some athletes
Spartans, Guy Harrison
repeating events over the course of the night, so we'll
4
see quite a few of the same
representing
names
Spartans,
popping up.
Daniel Fox.
Guy Harrison Murray swimming this 50
Lane
fly
5
after
representing
recently
USC
competing in the
Spartans,
400 metre
Braden
freestyle.
Jason. Lane
So they would have
6
gone from the outdoor
representing
pool
Geelong,
into the
Cole
indoor pool
Pierce.
to do a swim down. So
Lane
around
7 representing
800
Geelong,
metres
Dylan
of
Logan.
cooling down, trying to get rid of the lactic acid in their
Lane
muscles
9 representing
as much as
Geelong,
possible, trying to get
Ryan
that flush
McCrane.
through before
And
speaking to their
Lane
coach
9
and coming back out to
representing
swim their
Jimmy
next
Barrow, William
event.
Baker.
I'm intrigued by this, the ability of the athletes to calm themselves down. I know it's one thing to do physically, but if you've just had a big PB and you've won, it must be incredibly difficult to try and just take that all out of your system as you're trying to warm down and prepare for a fresh event.
Just watching these boys get away for the 50 butterfly. They're very good at focusing on what's happening right here, right now. And that's particularly good if you don't have a great previous swim, that you get another chance to get up and race. Jason Braden in lane 5. Looks like he's ahead of Daniel Fox and Guy Harrison Murray.
So that's exactly how it finished. We'll, as we mentioned, wait and see how all the classifications are judged, and we'll have a 1, 2, 3 as they come through. This time it'll be the women in the butterfly multi-class in just a moment, but we've got a presentation and we'll take in the announcer at MSAC.
Yeah, hang on. The results are running down. They're here. The presentation of medallions for event 29, the women's 100 metres butterfly. Medals are presented by Paris Burlock. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 59.56, representing SOPAC, Christina Licciardi. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 59.45, representing Carlisle, Emily Washer. And winner of the gold medal in the time of 58.41, representing St Peter's Western, Emma McKeon. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions for the women's 100 metres butterfly. Please now make welcome to pool deck the competitors.
It's nice to see competitors giving each other a hug after the race. It is a small swimming community and they do get to know each other very well, and you do become friends even with the people that you race. And it's moments like that that it's a really nice reminder that, you know, as a swimmer, it is it's a family.
I want to talk to you more on that. Obviously, last night, Swimming Victoria got all the alumni together and we were watching what was going on without knowing the detail of it. But it looked like there was some famous names under that tent, and it looked like everyone was having a great time. So when we get a chance, I want you to let us know about the night, how it went, who was well behaved and perhaps who wasn't, and some of the benefits, and perhaps the possibility. Understand it was the first time it's happened, so maybe some of the benefits and the chances of it happening more regularly.
We'll have a chat about that after this 15-metre butterfly. We've got a couple of Paralympians in this. Emily Beecroft from Traralgon, swimming in lane 4, and Monique Murphy. Monique we saw swimming the 400 freestyle earlier. But we've also got some girls that are coming through in the development pathway, which is really exciting. You can see that behind lane 7, Ruby has someone helping her on the start. Nice race as the girls come down that first 25 of the 50. Beautiful racing. Focusing on trying to get to the wall as quickly as possible so that they can get as close to the world ranking as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight, and Scott has got it from Murphy.
31.73 for Madeline Scott, just under her entry time of 31.76, so it'd be nice if that was a PB for her. Entry times don't always indicate a personal best time. The entry time has to be done within the season.
There was just an adjustment there. Beecroft touched the wall second and Murphy third.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory.
So again, we'll bring you those results as soon as they come to hand, but it was a fantastic night by all accounts. Tell us about the reason that it was put together and some of the benefits that you took out.
Often when you finish the sport that you're involved in, you often don't have a lot of contact because you move into a study or job or just get on with your life. In my case, had children, and you don't always get the opportunity to reconnect, but we feel that swimming is a family. And so the Swimming Victoria alumni was created so that we could get together with not only athletes but coaches, officials, support staff, so that we could bring them back together. And last night, on the first night of the Victorian Open Championships, was a really great opportunity for us to do that. and catch up and talk about what people are doing. It's also a really good opportunity to be able to connect past swimmers with current swimmers. So there are a few current swimmers in that mix as well that got to meet people, that did the journey before them. There was a lot of history standing over there. We had quite a few Olympians, but also medical staff that have travelled with these athletes as well, team managers, coaches that were athletes previously. So it's a really good opportunity to bring everyone back together, and we'll create as many opportunities as possible over the years. But I think even for people like team managers, getting to see the athletes again and finding out how they're going and what they're doing post-swimming is really nice.
Yeah, undoubtedly the benefits, especially the integration into the current crop of swimmers, just all those little tips that you might not have thought you got last night, all of a sudden there's a bit to be learnt. We're into the 200 backstroke here for the men. Josh Beaver in lane 4.
Quick turnaround for him. He swam the 50 fly. I think he told me he had 12 minutes between races.
It's going to test him out. So we're away in the 200 backstroke. As we mentioned, Beaver in lane 4.
Josh had a nice 50 last night, 50 backstroke. He's got some talent in the pool around him. Zach FAS competed at the Oceania Championships last year for Australia, and James swimming out of lane 6, and Bowen also swam at the World Juniors. So we've got some great talent in this pool.
We've got some results through from that 50 butterfly for the women in the multi-class. Madeline Scott first, Emily Beecroft second, and Murphy third.
Just watching Josh Beaver. He's got nearly a body length. He's not very tall, but he does have a body length on Liam McAllister that's going through in second place. 57.92. This morning he split 100.2, so he's certainly out quite a bit quicker. He'll really focus on this third 50 at maintaining that pace, not dropping off the pace. Tends something you have to be very aware of. Like I said, in the 400, that third 100. In a 200, it's that third 50.
He's going to turn with more than a body length advantage.
Nice underwaters. You can just see Liam McAllister just coming up from his underwaters there, but beautiful body position, nice and flat, good head position. Stroke rate looks really good as Josh Beaver comes under that 15-metre mark.
He's got some support here. Really the loudest the crowd's been tonight, as he's going to touch in a long way ahead.
Bowen Goff in lane 7 looks like he's going to come in for third place. So in backstroke, the athletes can't be fully submerged as they hit the wall. So you will have noticed that as the boys came into the wall, they flicked a foot up. So if they put their head and their arm completely underwater, they needed one part of their body out. So that's something to look for when this B final finishes. But a really nice swim from Josh Beaver. That 50 didn't seem to hurt him at all. He might say differently. You often find athletes, if they've got a couple of races close together, are really warm and ready to go. So you can see the officials there, there was a kink in the backstroke ledge for lane 4, so they're just making sure that it's not twisted at all. Backstroke ledges haven't been around for a long time. Some of the athletes only use them in competition. But it prevents that dreaded slipping on the wall, which in previous years backstrokers had to contend with. So, and like all strokes, you will see when they start, they've all got slightly different positions. Some pull up really high out of the water.
15-year-old Toddy Martin in lane 1, and they're away in the B final for the 200 men's backstroke.
So the backstrokers have to be up before the 15-metre mark. If they're not up before the 15-metre mark and there's a rope that the officials will stand by, they will be disqualified. Jack Selman in lane 4. Beautiful stroke. Looking pretty comfortable going into that first 50. I say comfortable, but it's just because of his stroke efficiency. He is working quickly. He was out in 29.58 for that first 50. Pushing up beside him, I think that's Tom Curran. Getting my lanes confused. No, Andrew Rice. Andrew Rice from the Nunawading Swim Club. Had a good swim in the B final last night. Watching the boys go around that first 100. To see they're up a lot quicker after that turn.
Yes.
Need a bit more oxygen.
Close
Andrew
the
Rice
gap.
is swimming really close to that lane rope.
Will that be tactical, Lindley, or just where he's come up?
I think it's just where he's come up. Sometimes it's hard to get off the lane rope. Sometimes it's just a sighting thing on the roof. It might be something particular that he's looking at on the roof that's keeping him close there. He will get a little bit of a wash. He might experience a little bit of a drag that he's sitting in because he is so close to the lane ropes.
And will that be something that he was thinking about coming into the race, or just where he's
No,
come
just
out of
where.
his turn?
And also you can see that he's gone to the other side, so it might just be a bit of fatigue or slight imbalance of strength. So with fatigue, they tend to drift across a little bit. Jack Selman looking very strong coming into the 5 metres.
Yeah, it's a commanding win for Selman. And Rice
Andrew
second
Rice.
and Curran third. So something to work on out of that drifting across the lane, obviously swimming further.
They will talk about it because it could indicate a slight imbalance of strength on sides. Really hard under fatigue. He's done a lot of, Andrew Rice has done a lot of work coming into this, so he's not fresh, he's not tapered. And when you are fatigued, it's really just easy to be slightly off balance. But they will go back and analyse their races, so there'll be an assistant coach that's filmed what they've been doing. So they will analyse, they'll analyse the time, stroke rate, stroke efficiency, and that will be a little bit of a focus. Easy to do though when you're racing under fatigue.
The winner of the gold medal in the time of 28.39, representing USC Spartans, Daniel Fox. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions and medalists in the men's 50 metres butterfly for multi-class.
Congratulations to Daniel Fox and the other medalists. We've got coaches everywhere and screens everywhere and plenty of feedback for the athletes. How quickly will that come for them? Does it depend on the athlete, or can they expect some feedback immediately as soon as the finish?
It's interesting. A lot of coaches will actually ask the athletes for feedback. Rather than telling the athletes what they did, they'll actually ask the athletes for feedback first. What did you think about that race? How did you feel you managed to balance what you were doing? So the coaches get the athletes to think about it before they give their feedback.
And winner of the gold medal in the time 31.73, representing Nunawading, Madeline Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions and medalists in the women's 50 metres butterfly for multi-class. Please now make welcome to pool deck their competitors in event 33, the women's 100 metres backstroke.
So the 100 backstroke for the women. What can we look for here?
Well, we've got Olympian Maddie Wilson, who swam very well last night in the 200 backstroke. But interestingly enough, she was challenged at the end of that race by Kaylee McKeown.
Really
Kaylee,
impressive.
McKeown. a very talented athlete coming through the junior ranks of Australian swimming. Sister Taylor McEwen, who swam at the Olympics in 2016. So it'd be really interesting to see. We've seen Sian Whittaker swim the 400 freestyle. I think what did we say, 5-second PB over the course of a day. She did say her backstroke wasn't feeling as great, so we'll see how that goes in the shorter distance of the 100.
Yeah, a couple of young swimmers here, one 14-year-old, Reef Road in lane 0, and then a couple of 15-year-olds, as you mentioned, Kaylee and also Mia Rolfe from Carlisle.
Lane 5, representing USC Spartans.
Backstroke in Australian swimming is incredibly tough at the moment. When you look at the talent in this pool, Sian Whittaker narrowly missed out. You know, at the Olympic trials, and then you add in Belinda Hocking, and there are so many girls, a couple of the Queensland girls swimming very fast, so plenty to learn in very young backstroke coming through, looking at this talent in the pool.
Just generational, terrific backstroke coaches at the moment.
Yeah, we've got good backstroke coaches at the moment, but success seems to breed success.
Yep.
With athletes thinking, oh, I think I could do that.
So all silent before they come up before that rope, and now out of the water and into their work in the 100 metres backstroke.
Nice start. You can see Maddie Wilson and Kayleen McEwen just getting off to a really nice start. Maddie Wilson has raced so much, even post-Olympics. She went and swam the World Cup. She loves racing. Some athletes get into the sense that they prefer training. Great turn from Maddie Wilson, came up really strongly. Very powerful. You can see the kick on Maddie Wilson, and just behind her, Kaylee McEwen.
Yeah, she's trying, isn't she, McEwen?
She's really starting to pick up.
Wilson looks like she's going to hold on, but not without a real shake from McEwen. In that last 50, she does. Wilson, McEwen and Whittaker round out the 3 in the female 100 metres backstroke.
See the girls, their head pops up straight away to look at the scoreboard, to see the time that they've done. Sometimes that validates how they were feeling, but it's, you know, what they're looking for is the fastest time, or the goal time that they had coming into this meet. The girls have had the whistle to say that they can get out of the swimming pool. So the swimmers must wait for that whistle before they're allowed to exit the swimming pool. And that's an indicator that the results have all come through.
This will be the B final in the same event, the women's 100 metre backstroke.
Charlie Brown, just 14, qualifying fastest for the B final in lane 4. You can see in that vision off the start how the girls start quite differently. Julia Hawkins was a lot higher out of the water. Just trying to make that transfer into speed as you come off that start. So really crucial that you get good underwaters as you come up to that 15 metre mark. Get a better shot as we come into the wall, but I think it looks like Tanya Stovegard from Southport trains with Glenn Baker, who was a swimmer, was a breaststroker. He's coached plenty of Olympians, looking very strong out in lane 8.
And again, a long way from the middle of the pool, so the finish is going to be difficult to ascertain where competitors are. We're going to be tight here in the B final of the women's backstroke. It's going to go right to the finish. I fancy it might be in the middle of the pool. It is, with Emma Taribo from Stovgard in lane 8.
Yeah, it's trying to maintain that speed as your fatigue coming in through that 5 metres. Saw the girl as they lunged back to the wall, dropping their head to get their hand on the wall as quickly as possible, but their foot breaking the surface as they lunge backwards.
Medals being presented by Paris Burlock. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 2:04.42, representing Nunawading, Bowen
I imagine that mistake wouldn't be made often if it was made by someone who touched the wall first and didn't have the foot up. And a lesson
Athletes
learned.
do get disqualified. Junior athletes in particular that haven't quite got that, and it's something that they really do need to practice. Someone that's got it down pat, Josh Beaver, standing up there to get his gold medal.
Beaver. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions and medalists for the men's 200 metres backstroke.
These are all skills that athletes need
Please
to
make
be able to
full deck.
execute under pressure, that finish in the backstroke.
The men's 100 metres breaststroke.
You know, breaststrokers that are coming out on pool deck trying to finish on a full stroke, not a half stroke on the wall. They're fine as long as they touch with 2 hands, but it's quicker to finish on a full stroke than a half stroke.
And where does that come from? How far down the pool do you know you're in good shape? Or alternatively, when do you know, wait a second, I'm starting to think that I might have missed this?
Yeah, around 10 metres out, you're analysing roughly how many strokes you think you've got to the wall and trying to increase the length of your stroke. Unfortunately, under fatigue, particularly in breaststroke, you tend to shorten up. So occasionally they will end up on a half stroke. Some athletes find a half stroke quicker. It's just a really little hand movement to get on the wall with 2 hands.
Lane 3, representing MLC Aquatic, Ewan Bennett.
It's a great final for this 100 metre breaststroke tonight.
Matt Wilson. Lane 5,
Quite a few of these athletes. This could be an Australian Championship final with the level of talent that we have racing here tonight.
Alex Milligan. In lane 7, representing Malaysian swimming, Furkan Wong. In lane 8, representing
David Schlicht
MLC
appearing, swam
Aquatic,
200 AM earlier tonight.
And in lane 9,
Swimming out of lane 8.
Sopak, Ryan Roach.
Spoke to a couple of swimmers that said they just pulled back a little bit in that last 25 this morning, just so that they've got a little bit extra tonight.
Well, no one better to run us through the 100 metres breaststroke. We're underway, and then the frame will give you your thoughts as they come out of the water.
So a stroke and a half underwater and coming up. They've got a nice stroke rate, even in 100, which is considered a sprint. You need to maintain that distance in the stroke, and Jake Packard and Matt Wilson, beautiful length of stroke going through this first 50. They split in 28.69. So they're actually out a little bit faster this morning, but if they pulled back a bit this morning in the last 25, hopefully they'll maintain better speed tonight.
So it's in the middle of the pool for the moment.
Matt Wilson, you can see comes up just a little bit higher than Jake Packard, but you can see that recovery forward is quick. Breaststroke being a complete resistance stroke, you need a quick recovery.
It is Wilson who's going to touch in ahead of Jake Packard. As you said, stars everywhere in the pool, and Daniel Cave finished in 3rd.
Nice swim from Matt Wilson. He had a good hit out this morning. He was 00 this morning for that 100 breaststroke. Doing again tonight. One thing that athletes need to learn as they get more experienced is they have to swim fast heat swims, because internationally you don't get to pull back and rest in the mornings. If you want to make that final or the semi-final, you have to get in and race hard every time you get into the pool.
Ken, you touched on this last night. Is that a shift? Is that something that Australian swimming needs to get better in, or has needed to get better in? He spoke about the need to change that mindset going into the morning's races.
I think we are doing that. I noticed at the Australian Short Course Championships, they're not holding semi-finals. so that they have to get up and race a hard heat stick, make that final.
The B final underway.
Really nice start by Sam Williamson from Furbank Aquastars. He had a bit of time off last year to do his VCE, so he really pulled back with his swimming, but he's really getting back into it. His beautiful breaststroke, you can see the amount of power that Sam Williamson has from his kick. Coming up to that first 50. Really strong swimmer. Going through Sam Durant from MLC as part of our talent identification program. Coming through in lane 8, 30.5, around that first 50. So as they come under fatigue, they're trying to keep the length in their stroke and their stroke rate up. You can see Sam doing that really nicely. Coming through William Chamberlain in lane 4.
So
Comes up a
Chamberlain
bit
has
higher,
it for the
almost
moment.
vertically.
Can he finish on the right timing? Chambers takes it out from McLeod and Williamson.
And really, you know, the lead changed multiple times across that race.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for event 33, the women's 100
A
metres
disadvantage to be in lane 8?
Medals are being presented by
Not really in this day and age. The lane ropes are fantastic. There's spill gutters, so there's no bounce back from the side of the pool. The water just washes straight into the gutters, so there's no disadvantage. The only thing is if you like being aware of where the athletes are around you, but
Does that vary from swimmer to swimmer? Some coaches wouldn't mind if they're on their own.
some swimmers, and Susie O'Neill was a really good one. She just used to put, she used to say it was blinkers on, so she wasn't looking or aware of where anyone was, or it was a curtain that came down either side of her lane. So she just had a focus, not interested in what anyone else was doing. Some swimmers tend to like to prefer to swim off someone beside them. That can be dangerous, so if the person beside them isn't swimming as fast as they think they are. But definitely 5 metres from the wall, you tend to be quite aware of where the person beside you is, or the person out in front. Even breaststrokers will take a sneaky look underneath the water when they can to try and get a glimpse of who's beside them. Breaststroke, you're not allowed to turn your head, you've got to look forward.
Okay. We're just about to get into the men's 50 metre freestyle in the multi-class. As the names are announced
Jacob Templeton.
across the stadium.
In lane 1, representing PLC Aquatic, Timothy Diskin. In lane 2, representing USC Spartans, Braden Jason. In lane 3, representing Nunawading, Alex Kirchner. In lane 4, representing Yeronga Park, Rowan Carruthers. In lane 5, representing Tuggeranong Vikings, Josh Elford. In lane 6, representing USC Spartans, Daniel Fox. In lane 7, representing USC Spartans, Guy Harrison Murray. In lane 7, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Nick Layton. And in lane 9, representing Melbourne Torpedoes, Patrick Getson.
So we've got some athletes coming up for the first time tonight, but there's a couple in there that are on their third race for this evening. Pretty big ask.
So Kirshner, the 14-year-old in lane 3 from Nunawading. Leighton in lane 8, also 14.
Well, I'd almost say good luck picking this one.
Does look like Crothers is in the
Ryan
middle
Crothers.
of it. And yeah,
Oh.
only just. What a finish. Crothers and Jason and also Alfred finishing in the top 3, but it really was throw a blanket over them
Ladies
as
and
they
gentlemen,
touched
victory
in.
ceremony for event 34.
It's hard when you're on an angle trying to pick that last 5 metres, especially when there's a lot of splashing going on. I think that's why the 50 metre event's so fun and the adrenaline gets going. There's not too many opportunities to think during a 50. You want to make sure that you've got your race plan sorted, and you do have a plan for the 50 as well. It's not just getting in there and racing, but you want to know those key indicators on the bottom of the pool. You do change your energy systems within a 50 metre, so you use up your initial sprint and speed quite quickly down the pool, so you still do need to have a bit of background behind you.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions and medalists in the men's 100 metres breaststroke. Please make welcome to pool deck competitors for event 36.
Mind games that go on
Women's 50 metres multi-class
just previous to the race getting underway. I imagine it's different at every event, and as you go up, there's more and more of it. From your experience, did it play in?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting in the marshalling area that there's people that cope with nerves by talking. Some people don't talk at all. So you want to find your like kind of person, but if someone's trying to psych another person out, they will sit beside that quiet person and talk away just to distract them a little bit. So definitely at the highest level. We did see that at the Olympic Games with Michael Phelps and Chandler Close, so it happens at all areas. Not so much at the state level though.
Lane 3, representing Terrell.
People will look for one-upmanship wherever they possibly can.
Lane 4, representing
And I wanted to, coming back to last night, and you're talking about that friendship that exists amongst the swimmers. I imagine that there's not much a coach can do for you there. So that information that's passed down from swimmer to swimmer must be vital to cope with that, because everyone would have been through it at different stages of their career.
Absolutely. I think it's sometimes when things aren't going so well and you talk to one of the more experienced swimmers or an elite swimmer, and they will often say, do you know what, I didn't swim a personal best for 5 years, so it's going to be okay. I think just reassurance from swimmers that have been there, done that, or that you can work through any injury gives you confidence to keep going.
So 50 metre freestyle in the multi-class here. Beecroft in lane 5 and Beckwith in lane 4. They are into the water and swimming quickly.
So we've got Ashley McConnell swimming out of lane 2, who's a gold medal from the Paralympic Games in the women's 4x100 freestyle relay. And it's beside her Ruby Storm from Traralgon and Monique Beckwith.
And I reckon that Ruby might have just about done it. Gee, she's had a good couple of days, Ruby Storm. That was magnificent.
Ruby's entry time was 30.22, so to swim 29.71. She's a really strong little swimmer.
She ought to be little, she's only 13.
So not meaning anything terrible like that, but you know, as a 13-year-old, your strength to weight ratio is in your favour.
And you spoke about the time slowing up.
So for girls, the most difficult time for them is going through puberty. It changes their strength to weight ratio, and you don't get that strength back until you're heading sort of 16, 17, 18, and you have to do that through dryland training. So there is sometimes an advantage to these young swimmers that they sit differently in the water. They've got a higher body position. As you go through puberty, the weight distribution changes. So your centre of weight distribution is quite different post-puberty for girls. And so they've got a bit of a journey that they need to go through.
You're hearing the names announced of the competitors for the 200 metre breaststroke in the women's.
USC Spartans, Taylor McKeon. In lane 6, representing Nunawading, Jessica Hanson. In lane 6, representing Nunawading, Michaela Smith. In lane 7, representing Southport Olympic, Leaston Pickett.
So we've got a couple of
In lane
Olympians
8,
in this
representing
race.
Trinity
We've got a
Grammar,
world short course
Michaela
medalist.
Everingham.
It's a bit of
And in
talent
lane 9,
coming through.
representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Izzy Tolentino.
Izzy Tolentino is part of our development talent ID program.
And all of that talent is in the water. They'll be up very shortly. And Lily Frame will take you through the 200 metres of the females breaststroke.
200 breaststroke, want to keep their stroke nice and long. Some of the athletes will actually count their stroke going down the pool. They'll have a specific amount, particularly of breaststrokers, to make sure they maintain that length even though they're swimming quite quickly. So you can see Leaston Pickett looks like she's going to go around just behind Taylor McEwen. Leaston's a 100 metre swimmer, so she has that speed early on. She needs to hang on in the second half of the race. Taylor McEwen's a beautiful breaststroker. You can see the power. So if you watch the power of her kick, it's really quite incredible. She goes through the first 100 quite quickly. The girls went through in 1:15 this morning. I would expect her to go through much quicker tonight. Jess Hansen, who swam extremely well in 100 breaststroke, just sitting there, just on her hips, coming through. Lane 5. 1:9. 1:9 for Taylor McEwen, 1:11 for Jess Hansen going through. Bit quicker than Jess's first 100 this morning.
Hansen's
They're
holding
really
on.
Focus on this third 50. You can see Leaston Pickett there out in lane 7. It's talking about breaststroke being a complete resistance stroke, so they really need to get into that streamlined position at the end of their stroke. So as their hands come through quite quickly, finishing that kick off to get that streamline come through for that speed. Taylor McEwen going round in 1:47.49.
So she did some work late in that 50, didn't she? And she's turned well. She's got a significant advantage now on Hansen.
This is where it really starts to hurt in a 200, particularly breaststroke. You want to maintain that length of stroke. Tendency is to bob up and down a little bit, but Taylor looks really good. Nice long stroke. Still good power out of her legs.
So McEwen takes it out. Hansen will finish second. And it'll be Pickett who did hang on for that third position after a good start.
Got a history of great breaststroke swimmers, but we saw a real change in the last couple of years coming through. So trying to develop the next generation of athletes. You're right, we were talking about in backstroke before. It does go through in waves. Of success in particular strokes. Backstroke women at the moment really strong. We've got another generation of breaststrokers coming through.
So we're about to watch the B final in the 200 metres breaststroke. The focus on the swimmers' faces as they prepare to get it onto the blocks, and we're just about set here. What are you looking for out of this, Lindley? The B final, bit of talent coming through?
Yeah, there is. It's interesting looking at these athletes. You often see the athletes in breaststroke get off the blocks quite quickly, and it's interesting to see whether that transfers well in that underwater. You can see Phoebe Ricker towards the bottom of the screen putting in a good first 50. 200 breaststrokes about maintaining length while trying to have a good pace. You've got to maintain that length because as a breaststroker you can tighten up really quickly. All strokes you'll produce lactic acid, but you tend to, with a full resistance stroke, you tend to tighten up quite quickly. Freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, you get your arms out of the water and you get away from the resistance, but breaststroke you don't. So you need to find ways as you go forward. In the stroke, I was talking about keeping that distance, but to be able to go forward relaxed, to give yourself the opportunity to recover.
So Rika is going to go close here. It's going to be very close with Brooks, and on the other side of the pool, Dallas Harris finished 1:17.37 on that turn, and away they go.
Michaela swimming out in lane 0 from Southport, trains with Leaston Pickett that we saw in the heat before. Glenn Baker, her coach, was a breaststroker himself, so certainly knows quite a bit about the stroke.
They're starting to spread now a little bit, aren't
they? They really are. Catherine Brooks still holding on really well in the middle of the pool in lane 4. You can see their techniques are all so different, and we see that across the other strokes as well, but in breaststroke, you know, you can see Catherine Brooks's recovery in lane 4 comes up and under her face out of the water. Some of them have got a full underwater recovery.
There's some pain there for the girls now.
Tara Kinder coming through in lane 6. Tara was part of our state team that went to Canberra, our top age group competition apart from nationals.
So
you can see she's maintained the length on her stroke.
What a final 50. That is a magnificent finish. Congratulations to Kinder, who takes out first. Dallas Harris second and Brooks third. And very impressive final 50.
Good swim by Tara Kinder. So from what she swam this morning, 2:47 down to a 2:41. So that was a really nice swim for her. Her time going into this was 2:44, so I'd hazard a guess that that's PB for Tara Kinder. But talking about able to maintain that length of stroke under fatigue, you can see what that does for an athlete being able to back up towards the end of the race.
Winner of the silver medal in the time of 26.67, representing PLC Aquatic, Timothy Diskin.
This is the ceremony for the men's 50
and winner
metre
of the gold
freestyle
medal in the time
multi-class.
of 25.52, representing Tuggeranong Vikings, Josh Elford. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions medalists. The men's 50 metres freestyle for multi-class. We now move on to the victory ceremony for event 36, the women's 50 metres freestyle for multi-class. Medals are being presented by Braden Miles. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 29.71, representing Traralgon, Ruby Storm. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 30.84, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Ashley McConnell. And winner of the gold medal in the time of 30.15, representing Traralgon, Emily Beecroft. Ladies and gentlemen,
this is why it's so hard for us to call the medalists for multi-class events, because there is that calculation post-race. So when we watch the race, Ruby Storm hit the wall first, but according to her world ranking, walks away with a beautiful bronze medal, and she'll be really, happy with what she did, because that was the fastest time that she's done at this championships. But hard for us when we're commentating to know what those final placings actually look like.
Quick shout out to Evo, who've been big supporters of Swimming Victoria. If your club is looking to create a unique look, head over to the Evo pop-up shop or search Evo Sportswear and see what all the fuss is about.
Swimming in lane 0 this evening, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Jack Gerard.
So the 200 metre freestyle in the men's.
In lane 1, representing
Jack Gerard's just back from the World Short Course Championships at the end of, at the end of last year. He was a medalist there.
Parker.
Interesting to note that David McKean and Daniel Smith post-Olympics have both
In lane
changed
4,
coaches,
representing
so
St.
they're
Peter's
swimming with
Western,
Michael
Daniel
Bowl at
Smith.
St. Peters. We
In
talked
lane
about
5,
athletes
representing
changing
Malaysian
coaches,
swimming,
bit of
Wilson
movement
Sim.
for that next 4-year cycle coming up.
In lane 6, representing SOPAC,
And then, of
Jacob
course, David
Hansford.
McKean and Mack Horton backing up
In
after
lane
their
7,
800 earlier
representing
today.
Melbourne Vic Centre, Mack Horton. In lane 8, representing Carlisle,
It's a more
Zachary
natural
FAS.
event for David than
And in
the longer
lane 9,
800.
representing Melbourne
I
Vic
think he
Centre,
prefers
Mitchell
got to be more
Davenport
speed for
Wright.
this event. And then Daniel Smith had it, will take it out quite fast. He was out in 53.34. You think these guys are then backing up another 100. Some 100 freestylers can't even swim that fast.
So McKean in 3, Smith in 4, and Wilson Sim from Malaysia in lane 5. They're up and out of the water in the 200 freestyle.
Nice start, actually. Also from Mitch Davenport Wright, swimming down in lane 9. So, we have to keep an eye right across the pool. We sometimes get caught up in the middle lanes, but there's some absolute talent in those outside lanes. You don't need to be in the middle lane to win a medal. Daniel Smith going around in first place, 25.32.
And out on the other side.
And followed by Jack Gerard in lane 2. So, yeah, we will keep an eye on what's going on right across the pool. Daniel Smith's beautiful stroke.
For the
Even
moment.
as swimming the speed, he's still got that beautiful length in his stroke, 52.73, a bit quicker than what he went out this morning.
He's got a nice lead at the moment. It's almost quite
got
3/4 of a body length, although it looks like it's just being closed slightly. Wilson Sim next to him, trying to hang on.
It's hard for us looking at this angle to see where everyone is. Wilson Sim from Manly, just sitting back behind. Good turn from him. Mack Horton, I think that 800 took a little bit out of him. Very strong swim from Daniel Smith. It's one swimmer I really like to watch swim at speed, just looks really comfortable in the water.
Sim's tried his best to hang on, but Smith is really strong throughout, and he touches him first in 1:48.61.
David McKean in for third place.
I've noticed it's not uncommon for there to be more noise leading up to the B final from behind us in the grandstand.
I think, interestingly, if we look at who's swimming, there's quite a few visitors often in the A final, but in the B final you'll get local athletes, and for some of them this will be the first time that they race in a final, whether it's the A or B final of the Victorian Championships. So there tends to be quite a bit of encouragement for maybe the lesser experienced swimmer. Theo standing there in lane 4. Very experienced young man. Actually swam for Greece at the World Junior Championships, competed at the European Championships. Trains here with Melbourne Vic Centre.
So straight into their work in the B final of the 200 men's freestyle.
200s are all about pacing it and knowing your strengths, and also trying not to swim off the person beside you, because if they go out quickly and that's not your strength, you will pay for it at the end of the race. So it's really being able to stay focused on your stroke plan. Joshua Hertz going around in first place, 26.59. Pretty good line, across the pool in the first 100. That third 50 tends to separate the field a little bit. You often get the people that are good at the 50 and 100 out quite quickly in that first 100, but just don't have the stamina to stay the second.
There's a lot of hands turning together there, and they're up for this third 50.
Theo swimming right on Joshua Hertz's shoulder.
And on cue, that separation has started to come.
Theo trains with Craig Jackson, Mack Horton, Jian Whitaker, so they've got a really solid squad. They've just, Cody Nagawati, they've just come back from 10 days in Adelaide, putting quite a bit of work. A little bit of movement. We can see Joshua just dropping back a bit. Thomas Wotton in lane 3, just starting to come through. Last 15 metres really hurts, so they've got to dig quite deep, but try and not to tighten up too much.
And Penhoots did hang on, but it was a fast finish from Wotton, who was coming hard, and he picks up second. In third place, Keith Lim.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for event 37, the women's 200 metres breaststroke. Medals are being presented by Braden Miles. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 2:32.36, representing Southport Olympic, Leaston Pickett. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 2:29.42, representing Nunawading, Jessica Hansen. Winner of the gold medal in the time of 2:26.05, representing USC Spartans, Taylor McKeown.
Swimmers having a little bit of a giggle there because that is not Taylor McEwen. Samantha Schlick from MLC Aquatics has just jumped in, so I'm guessing that Taylor's swimming down. She might have the 4x200 relay or something a little bit later on.
That's
so
real teamwork.
Often if there's someone does have to swim down, they'll ask someone to go and stand up. Not that they don't want to get their medal, but as we've seen, you know, there can be a really quick turnaround between races if athletes are swimming multiple events.
And of course, all that recovery aided by the best physios in town, and Physio Health physiotherapists are qualified to treat all types of people with pain, movement and dysfunction problems, ranging from athletes, injured workers, motor vehicles, accident victims, arthritis sufferers, senior citizens, pregnant women and children. So Physio Health for all your physio needs, helping us get this broadcast out and live on Facebook at the Victorian Swimming Championships here at MSAC. We're preparing for the 50 metres freestyle in the women.
There's a bit of talent in this pool. We've got 1, 2, 3 Olympians. We've got Gemma Schlicht, who's come back from the World Short Course Championships, and a couple of girls there that swam in the Australian junior team in the last 12 months. So I don't know that I can call this one.
Does it affect them at all to know that there's so much more serious talent in the pool on a night like this, where you are in a heavy workload and you're really just trying to manage a few different things? Do the nostrils flare a little bit knowing that there's a bit more talent in the pool and it's not just your average swim through?
I think they get a little bit frustrated that they can't swim sometimes as quickly as they'd like to because they're in hard work. But they're all competitors, so it's amazing how quickly they can dig deep and get
We're about
good
to
result.
find out. McCann's in 4.
Emily Washer at the top of the screen. We saw her swim well earlier in the piece in the 200 freestyle. Or 400, sorry.
I think McCann's just going to touch them out. Nagawati in second, and McEwen again. Kaylee doing a great job in the 50 metre freestyle.
Emma McKean's beautiful to watch because she swims the shorter distances, you know, quite a similar manner that she does even a 200. So she sort of has a beautiful body position and length of stroke.
So the B final in the same event. He's away very quickly. Both off the blocks and no gap between the A and the B final as we keep moving through the program.
Elise Woods swimming nicely. We saw her in the 800 freestyle. Kayla Costa from Nunawading just coming through.
Timon Webster's competitive at the top end, and Woods gets it in the middle from Stoffgard again in lane 8. And Timon Webster finished in third.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory
I get concerned in these shorter events because they come through quite quickly. That trying to make sure that I'm calling the right lane.
1.62, representing St Peter's Western, David McKeon. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 1:49.07, representing Malaysian swimming, Wilson Sim. And winner of the gold medal in the time of 1:48.61, representing St Peter's Western, Daniel Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian medalists and champions in the men's 200 metres freestyle. Please make welcome to pool deck now the competitors for event 40, the men's 100 metres breaststroke for multi-class.
Big shout out to Mountain Shade as well, have developed special swimming club and swimming family packages with huge discounts off normal prices. Don't buy a cheap marquee that may not have the necessary certification and Australian standard ratings. Go to www.mountainshade.com.au for more information. You just heard the announcement, the men's 100 breaststroke in the multi-class.
Swimming in lane 0, representing Jian, William Baker. In lane 1, representing Cheltenham, Lachlan Patterson.
Just watching
In lane 2,
Kelly getting some
representing
support,
Geelong,
getting into
Dylan
the pool.
Logan.
Incredible athlete.
In lane
Had the
3, representing USC
fortune of
Spartans,
training
Blake
with him and
Cochran.
beside him, and
In lane 4,
just
representing Melbourne
and probably
Vic
one of the
Centre,
nicest
Matt
guys that I've
Ward.
ever met. That really
In
gives
lane
back
5,
to other
representing
athletes in
PLC
the
Aquatic,
sport. So
Timothy Diskin.
yeah,
In lane
I think
6,
I'm a fan of
representing
swimming and I love watching
Torpedoes,
swimmers, and it's
Patrick
really
Edson.
interesting for me to sit back
In
and
lane
even watch a
7,
race. I have to be careful that I don't get caught up in just enjoying the race sometimes, that I'm aware of what's going on. You do get your favourite athletes.
With good reason. It's what makes sport sport, really, is.
Ahmed Kelly.
And I think, Ahmed, you mentioned there, it just, everyone who's ever come into contact with him everyone comes away a better person. And they all say the same thing. So the men's 100 breaststroke in the multi-class.
Saw Matt Ward have a good heat swim this morning. He's a very strong swimmer. Tim Diskin, Paralympian beside him. Gold medalist. Gold medalist in freestyle, but obviously he can do all of the strokes. It's one of the great things about swimming is that when you initially start, they get you to swim all of the strokes to find out, where your strength is.
I'm interested that you spoke earlier about the fact that sometimes the one you're actually made best for is not the one you enjoy most.
No, you don't. Your
There's a
body
cruel
chooses
twist in all
for
that.
you. That's absolutely right. You do learn to love it. Don't get me wrong. You do learn to love it. Matt Ward looking really strong. Swims for Melbourne Vic Centre, based here at the Melbourne Aquatic Centre.
You can hear the support in the grandstand for that finish too. He'll touch in first. Diskin hits the wall second and Cochrane third, but we've mentioned a few times we're not sure how that'll all finish up. Kelly is working hard in the nearest lane to us here in lane 9. And he spoke about the drive that the swimmers get in the breaststroke. Just incredible strength.
It is a power stroke. They're often slightly shorter, but you can really see the power in their physiques as they drive forward.
And Kelly does finish strong to the applause of the grandstand.
It's good. A lot quicker than he swam this morning. 6 seconds quicker. Matt Ward, that came in first in that race, a couple of seconds quicker than what he swam this morning. It is so much easier to swim faster at night. Your body's more awake, even though you would be up for quite a period of time before the heats. It takes a long time for our bodies to wake up to be firing in the morning, so it is easier to swim fast the later in the day you go.
And what about the conditions? Talk me through the conditions indoor compared to outdoor, and indeed the conditions being cold compared to being hot. Does it suit some more than others?
So it's an interesting one. The main thing is to stay warm. So I'm a big fan of athletes that come out in deck coats, have shoes on their feet, a hood on their head. The deck coats have a sort of fake fur in there. It's really important to be warm.
No matter the
before you race.
circumstances, you'd prefer to see them
warm.
Nice and warm. Yep.
Yeah, your body can't react quickly if it's cold. So, I'll often see athletes and younger athletes walking around in bare feet. You lose so much heat from your feet and your head, so it's really important to let them know that you need to have something on your feet. Sneakers are preferable. You often see kids with Ugg boots on their feet. They're easy to get off, but they keep their feet warm, but they really need to be warm. The elite athletes, even at the Olympics, and it was, or World Championships, even if it's in the middle of summer, will often have heated jackets on. So they're ready. They will take it off at the last second, so their body's warm and ready to go.
Phoebe.
But all of that's a learning experience as you come through the sport.
So the 100-metre breaststroke in the women's multi-class is underway, and the girls are up.
It's just interesting to note on the start there, Monique Beckwith, who I know because she's part of the Victorian programs, is hearing impaired. So there's a light at the starter's podium that flashes so that she gets, she leaves at the same time as everyone else. We've seen athletes that have had support on the blocks for balance. So there's a real variety of classification in this race right now.
And we've just had the results come through from the men's 100 metre, and because of what goes on with the adjustment of times, Ahmed Kelly has come through in first place after that impressive swim. You spoke about the difference from what he was able to do this morning.
Madeline Scott also in this race looking really good. She's coming down to 15 metres from the wall. She's beautiful. Been able to maintain the speed as she's gone through this race. So she just needs to keep the length up. These last 5 metres, she's starting to shorten up a tiny bit, but she's got a good length.
And she touches in now. Looks like we're going to watch Getson and then Beckwith in the top 3, and the athletes still working towards that time. Katerina Pizzo in lane 9 next to us with about 10 to swim. And the painful part of the race, she's almost there. And that must be a relief after hard work.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory
We've seen
ceremony
some fantastic
for
swims tonight.
100 metres breaststroke for multi-class. Medals are being presented by Braden Miles. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 1:15.61, representing PLC Aquatic, Timothy Diskin. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 1:19.80, representing USC Spartans, Blake Cochran. And winner of the gold medal in the time of 1:53.01, representing Melbourne Vic Centre, Ahmed Khalil. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions and medalists in the men's 100 metres breaststroke for multi-class. Please make welcome to pool deck now the competitors for the women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay.
Things are about to get louder in here as the relays get underway to finish off the program. And we'll start with the women's 4x200 freestyle.
Swimming in lane 1 this evening, Yeronga Park. In lane 2, Melbourne Vic Centre Team B.
Melbourne Vic Centre that trains out of the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre here. I've got 2 teams in. Clubs can enter multiple teams.
Is it completely uncommon for the B team to knock over the A team?
Oh, it has happened.
I could only imagine the post-swim
Celebration, if you do that. Or the bragging rights.
Swinging
a
lane
bit of
3,
discussion until the next
Wotton.
meet, that's for sure.
In lane 4, Melbourne Vic Centre. Lane 5, USC Spartans. Lane 6, Surrey Park. And in lane 7, MLC Aquatic.
We saw last night there was a disqualification for leaving the blocks too early in one of the relays. Just the sport seems to be so designated by little details.
Yes.
Tiny
yeah,
little
there's an
things.
anxious moment sometimes if you think you've jumped early. So there is an allowance. You just need to have one toe left on the block so your body can be in the air. You just need to have pressure on the block when that hand hits the wall. Now I'm going to hazard a guess that that's Elise Woods swimming beside Leah Neal. We do have some of the names on the board.
Yeah, spot on Neil in 5.
Both of those girls swimming earlier tonight in the freestyle event, the women's 400 freestyle event.
We've got Brosnan across in lane 1, McClellan in lane 7, Marsh in 6, Neil in 5.
Those 2 girls, pretty handy lead out in front as they go through the 150 metre mark.
So you can hear some encouragement for Leah Neal from the grandstand as she tries to just close the gap, and she's done a very good job in this last 50. Clawed back half a body length.
Really impressed with the way Elise Woods is swimming. She's one that's a definite talent coming through. Great work ethic. So out in front helps knowing quite a few of these athletes, but we've got Sian Whittaker swimming for Melbourne Vic Centre, and Gemma Schlicht is swimming for USC Spartans. Is that what I've got down?
Yep, spot on. Haven't missed a beat. And it's been tight really from the start. This has been a terrific duel between both the clubs as well as the swimmers themselves. Now a little bit of distance coming. And you spoke about this third 50 and the 200 being where the separation has come. Really the 2 clubs have separated the rest of the field, and now it'll be a matter of whether or not Schlick can go on with it. She's almost out to a body length.
Yeah, she is. I think probably telling a little bit that Sian's had a really good couple of tough events tonight. And as much as you swim down in between your events, you still have residual lactic acid, so you can't get rid of all of it. So I think she'll be feeling the pinch right now.
Is that part of the overall training, the work that they're putting into these swimmers? They realise not a bad thing to have another hit out, another race, another pressure situation?
I think the thing in swimming is that you don't get that many chances to swim within a team, and it's actually a really nice thing to be able to do. So that's one opportunity. I think they don't get that chance very often. It does accrue points for the club, so there is a point score running, so that's an important thing as well.
That margin out really becoming significant as Taylor McEwen takes over, and she's powering away.
Hence why she wasn't up on the medal days collecting her medal for the 200 breaststroke. So she was indoors getting a decent swim down, backing up from 200 breaststroke and then a 200 freestyle. She certainly made the most of that time, getting another athlete, which was, as you said, a really nice thing to be able to do, to pop up there and get that medal for her.
She looks very impressive, doesn't she? The distance between the swimmers helps, but it is a pleasure to watch the best do their work.
I think swimming in lane 4, I'm guessing, I'll probably find out if I'm wrong. I'll be told if I'm wrong later, but I think that's Izzy Eckelman swimming for Melbourne Vic Centre. She was a member of the Victorian state team that competed in Canberra, so you've got an Olympian and someone that's coming through the system.
It seems, you did touch on it, but it seems to be such a common thread that the swimmers, they realise it just held in such high esteem, because there is so much to it, and an opportunity to do something for your training partners in the club.
And you really don't want to let someone down. So no matter how tired you're feeling, you don't want to be the one that lets the team down. So you will give it absolutely everything you've got.
It looks like it's going to be a matter of how far for the Spartans as McEwen touches in. 6:10 the time as the handover takes place. No issues there, no need for any nerves coming off the blocks.
So Mickey Sheridan swimming out in front in lane 5. Looking nice, that stroke rate, nice. You can see that she's breathing to both sides, extra breath as she goes into that turn. Doubt she'll breathe on the first stroke. I think she'd get into trouble with her coach if she did that. And going back the other way in second place is Cody Nagawati from Melbourne Vic Centre, Olympic 200 IM swimmer. Swam pretty well already tonight in that 50 freestyle.
This must be a rare moment of being able to enjoy swimming. It's every sense of the word. She would know now that it's a matter of by how far.
That's right, but I'm also watching her coach, Chris Mooney, on the other side. So while that you know that you're winning and you're out in front by a long way, there's a stopwatch going, and he is making note of stroke rate as well as splits. So there's no sort of pulling back if you're doing really well and you're swimming out in front and you're winning by a long way, because there's a coach always with a stopwatch, and it comes down to that time on the scoreboard at the end.
So it will be the Spartans in lane 5. Sheridan will finish the job. She comes in over the last 5 metres now. We'll touch in with no one anywhere near her. It's a big win for the Spartans. 8:11.17 their finishing time. And it'll be Nagawati to close out the Melbourne Vic Centre in second spot.
And coming through is Laura Davey from Surrey Park. Watching Cody Nagawati take a few deep breaths.
Ladies and
On
gentlemen,
the
the
wall.
victory ceremony for event 41, the women's 100 metres breaststroke for multi-class. Medals are being presented by Braden Miles. Winner of the bronze medal in the time of 127.78, representing MLC Aquatic, Monique Beckwith. Winner of the silver medal in the time of 126.60, representing Melbourne Torpedoes, Jamie Lee Getson. And winner of the gold medal in the time of 122.19, representing Nunawading, Madeline Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian champions and medalists for the women's 100 metres breaststroke for multi-class. We move on now to event 43, the men's 4x200 metres freestyle relay.
We're going to repeat the dose with the men now. The first of the 4 200 swimmers in the men's freestyle.
Lane 2, USC Spartans. Lane 3, MLC Aquatic.
Nice start
Lane
by
4, Melbourne
Mitch
Vic
Davenport
Centre.
right in lane 4.
5, Nunawading. Lane 6, Melbourne Vic Centre Team B. Lane 7, Yeronga Park. And in lane 8,
Casimir
Yeronga Park
Boskovic just
Team
going
B.
around in first place from Nunawading Swimming Club, and Lane Tankard from MLC Aquatic.
How you're doing some work with the coaches and the parents of the swimmers. How many of the guys and girls in the pool have you dealt with personally and with their coaches? And I mean, it must be such a huge role. You must come into contact with so many different people with so many different backgrounds.
I think I'm really fortunate to have the role that I do. So I have contact with athletes from all of our development squads, our junior talent squads, our talent identification squads, which is a huge number of athletes to get to know. I travel with our state team each year to Canberra and do a lot of work in support what they do outside the pool. So I'm a big believer in life balance and working on time management so that they do well at school as well as get the results that they want in the swimming pool.
And this is
Make mention they're coming down to the 200 metre mark.
and you can hear some
Davenport
support.
Wright came back beautifully in that final 50.
And he took them in front, so they change over, having had Davenport Wright close out that 50 in front.
We've got Mack Horton in the pool as the second swimmer in the 4x2 for Melbourne Vic Centre, up against Josh Beaver. So both boys have had a few swims tonight.
And Mack's going to touch Tern in front. Beaver, he's trying to hang on to him. There's a little bit of a gap now starting to emerge. That balance, if you don't attain it early, it must be very difficult to claw back, because swimmers aren't just swimmers, are they? There's so many in the team that's around them, and if you get off on the wrong foot, I imagine it's a very difficult task to try and get it back.
I think they can do it at any time. It's about being aware of of the load that they have in the swimming pool and at work, but also spending time with family and friends. I think that's really important to have all of those factors working together. So while we do education programs on time management, nutrition, supplements, drugs in sport, all of those kinds of things for the athletes, we also do the same things with parents. So we do education sessions with parents, and then we do, we spend a lot of time with the coaches on pool deck, getting to know the coaches and the coaches that travel with us with the state team that work with our development program. We have a new head coach on board, Rowan Taylor, that started in January, and he will really focus on the coaching development side.
You're going to change over here with Horton in front. A little more than a body length in the end. Beaver just behind him from Nunawading.
Josh Beaver did well to hang on there. Theo Benahutis is in the water for Melbourne Vic Centre. Matt Temple for Nunawading. Ryland Bryan swimming for MLC Aquatic in lane 3.
They've cleared out the rest of the field, haven't they? But the battle between the two of them.
Bit of space between them. Now, considering that most of these athletes have had multiple swims tonight, we are seeing, some very strong performances, not as quick as maybe they'd like to go, but they're looking strong. And in some ways, this weekend is like an extended training program for these athletes that they're training their body to be able to cope with swimming at a high intensity. And then when it comes to swimming at their events like the national championships, they'll pull it back and go into that meet taper to swim their favourite events. But it's really a great part of their training to be able to swim fast under pressure and under fatigue.
So the 9th of April, the Nationals get underway in Brisbane.
Correct.
What's on most of these swimmers' plates between now and then? What does their program look like between the end of this meet and the Nationals?
It varies, but these athletes will go and swim other state championships. A lot of them will go and swim New South Wales state championships. Queensland have already had theirs. South Australia are on now, but there'll be the Victorian Sprint Championships will come up in February. Nice change over there for Melbourne Vic Centre. Nunawading going in the pool in 2nd place. We've got Jack Gerard in the pool for Melbourne Vic Centre.
What's he got to play with? You think 4 better lengths?
He certainly does. Bowen Goff, who we saw swim earlier. And Ewan Bennett from MLC. Jack Gerard swam at the World Short Course Championships. It was his first Australian team. He had a very good Australian Championships last year at the selection trials, and then swam well again at the Australian Short Course Championships to make the World Short Course team. But these athletes will have competitions targeted along the way, so they'll be able to measure the training that they're doing and how well that's going leading into the Australian Championships. You do need to get up and race as often as possible so that it becomes familiar racing under pressure and racing under fatigue in the lead up to a big selection event. Joe Sinclair just turning in lane 6, but well and truly Melbourne Vic Centre A looks very comfortable coming down the final leg of the 4x200 freestyle relay. Jack Gerard just keeping his stroke long. You see that kick that just doesn't stop at the back. Really nice high body position. You can see how high his hips are in the water.
And the celebrations are about to begin as he touches in a commanding performance from Melbourne Vic Centre over Nunawading. Goff touches in second, and it'll be a clear third too. Cross in lane 3. Ewan Bennett finishes off who touches in and he secures third position. And to finish off, it'll be Toddy Martin across in lane 1. So that concludes the men's 4x200, and Melbourne Vic Centre, very impressive.
I think they'll be happy with that win by how much they won by. I don't know that the time is exactly what they would be after, but it was a good win.
There's some medal ceremonies to take place before we wrap things up from MSAC. Night 2 of the 2017 Vic Swimming Championships.
42, the women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay. Medals are being presented by Braden Miles. Winner of the bronze medals, represented by Laura Davey, Eva Rosenquist, Alex Good, Carlia Marsh in the time of 8:40.96, Surrey Park.
Now this has got to be fun.
Winners of the silver medals
on the
in
podium,
the time of
three of your mates having done the work.
Represented by Kotuku Nagawati.
It's interesting, isn't it? As an individual athlete, it can be quite lonely standing. A really lovely thing because you put the
Melbourne
work
Vic
in,
Centre.
but it can be a little bit lonely. It's nice to see them sharing that moment up there. I love that they've elected to have junior athletes present medals tonight. I think that's lovely. I think to have that exposure to elite athletes, and particularly athletes that they probably do look up to, and have that moment that I actually presented that medal is a really lovely
in
thing.
the time of 8 minutes 11.17.
I think most athletes can tell you the moment that they met someone that they idolised as a kid growing up, and I think that's really special.
Neal, USC Spartans.
And who knows who might be presenting the medals too. It might just be that those athletes on that receiving the medals are getting it from someone special.
That's the
right.
Victorian champions and medalists for the women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay.
And here comes the real pressure. Not only do you have to win the last event, but you have to be very quick at getting changed and getting back out to pick up your medal.
That's right. Very good win for the girls from USC Spartans for that 4x200 freestyle relay.
So not far away from presenting the medals to the men's relays as well, to wrap things up on night 2. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow to do it all again from 9 a.m. The live stream will be on via the Facebook page, and then again tomorrow night on Channel 31, and all of the broadcasts coming to you online. Wherever you are across the globe, Swimming Victoria doing a great job of keeping all the fans involved with the latest activity. And as I mentioned, we're just waiting for the quick turnaround for the men's winners of the 4x200 freestyle relay.
So we're watching the men get dressed busily
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony
before they can get up onto the dais.
The men's 4x200 metre freestyle relay. Winners of the silver medals in the time of 7.4718, represented by Ewan Bennett, Ryland Bryan, Thomas Halliday, and Lane Tankard, MLC Aquatic. Winners of the silver medals in a time of 7:37.88, represented by Bowen Goff, Matthew Temple, Josh Beaver, and Casimir Boskovich. Nunawading. Winners of the gold medals in the time of 7:32.39, and also winners of the Len Blease Shield, represented by Jack Gerard, Theodoros Benigustos, Mack Horton, and Mitchell Davenport Wright. Melbourne Vic Centre. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Victorian medalists and champions in the men's 4x200 metre freestyle relay.
Congratulations to everyone who's been successful tonight. Not only just the medalists, of course, all the swimmers have put on a great show, all the support staff, the volunteers. Lindley, it has been an absolute pleasure to spend a couple of hours with a world champion. I don't get to do it very often, I must say. So thank you from my perspective. And everyone who's watching got a great insight into what it takes, not only at this level but beyond. So thank you for your time this evening, and good luck with all the work that you're doing with all the coaches, families and athletes.
Thank you.
Lindley Frame's been with us on part of the broadcast for Channel 31. Don't miss all the action tomorrow night from 6 p.m. and of course 9 a.m. we'll have all the heats in the morning first thing. It's been a pleasure being on board. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.